Be strong.
So hello everyone, it's Cleo's here. Are you ready to get started? Let's get started. So hello everyone, our lesson this week is Gideon's army of 300. It's from Judges chapter 7 verses 1 through 25. So I'm going to send you over to Miss Latoya for our memory verse and prayer, and I'll see you right back here in just a minute.
Welcome back. It's time for our memory verse. Hey, guess what? This week we're in the book of Judges again, but we're in chapter 7, verse 4. Here it goes. Then it will be that whom I say to you, this one shall go with you. The same shall go with you. And of whomever I say to you, this one shall not go with you. The same shall not go. That's the book of Judges, chapter 7, verse 4. Join me, Miss Toya, next week for another verse and some words. Bye-bye. All right, now it's time to pray to start our lesson. You got it. Bow your heads, close your eyes. All right. Dear Lord, thank you for another Sunday to hear your word. Thank you for the lesson that we are about to learn from Miss Cleo. Thank you for our children for joining us today to hear the word. Thank you again for your continued healing, continued blessings, and thank you for allowing this time to fellowship. Amen. Back to Miss Cleo for our lesson for today.
So welcome back everyone. As I said, our story this week is Gideon's army of 300, and it's from Judges chapter 7 verses 1 through 25. Now last week we were talking about the calling of Gideon. Now when God called Gideon, Gideon felt he was the least person that God would be calling to go into battle. So he asked a request of God. Does anybody remember what it was? He asked God if he would take a piece of fleece, it was a piece of wool, and that if he laid it out overnight, that the next morning the fleece would be wet and the floor around it would be dry. Did God honor that request? He did. He then came back with God with another request. Do you remember that one? He asked for just the opposite. He asked if the floor would be wet and the fleece would be dry. Did God answer that request? He did. So now Gideon has asked this request of God, and that God has proven to him, I am calling you to lead Israel into battle against the Midianites. Now the Midianites, they are coming into their land. They are destroying their food. They are destroying their animals. They are destroying their crops. And God is saying, Gideon, I'm going to use you. So Gideon is now going to come up with an army. So I'm reading this out of The Bible Made Easy for Kids by Dave Strahler. Early in the morning, Gideon and his army camped at a water spring. The camp of the Midianites was in a valley north of where they were. The Lord said to Gideon, you have too many men for me to hand Midian over to you. The Israelites might become proud and think that they saved Israel from their enemies. So tell your men that anyone who is afraid may turn back and go home. Gideon has 32,000 men. The Midianites have over 100,000. God is telling Gideon, you have too many men. Now, I'm quite sure when Gideon heard this, he probably thought, God, are you sure? I only have 32,000. So God says, tell the ones that are scared and afraid that they can go home. He does that. So 22,000 men went back home and 10,000 were left. The Lord said to Gideon, there are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. So Gideon took the men down to the water. Then the Lord said to him, call to one side all those who drink water with their tongues like a dog. Those who get down on their knees to drink must form a second group. So now God is saying, I want to see two groups that you bring down to drink water. One group that gets down on all fours to drink the water, and the second group that brings the water up and laps it out of their hands like a dog. Gideon does this. "300 men lapped the water from their hands. The rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped the water, I will hand Midian over to you. Let the other men go back home." So Gideon sent the other men home, but kept their food, their jars, and their ram's horn trumpet. Only 300 men stayed with Gideon. Well, God is showing us He is the one who is all powerful, and that He is the one who will bring us through. With this very small number of men, God is going to deliver the Israelites from the Midians. Gideon and his 300 men were on a hillside, not far from the Midianites who were camping in the valley below them. Gideon divided his men into 3 groups, each with 100 men. He said to them, "Watch me and do what I do. When we blow our trumpets, all of you must blow your trumpets and shout for the Lord and for Gideon." So Gideon made 3 groups of 100. So the 3 groups spread out and surrounded the Midianite camp. Around midnight, Gideon and his men blew their trumpets and smashed their clay jars, holding their torches, the fire sticks, which really was like a torch, in one hand and their trumpets in the other, and they shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites started rushing around in a panic, trying to escape. And the loud noise of the trumpet, they started fighting each other with swords. Those who were not killed in the mad scramble ran for their lives. Israelites from the tribe of Naphtali, Asher, and Manasseh joined to chase the army of Midian. Gideon sent messengers ahead to the tribe of Ephraim to stop the Midianites at the shallow crossing of the Jordan River. So the Lord gave them victory, and there was peace in the land for 40 years for the rest of Gideon's life. So God did it. Those 300 men defeated the Midianites. And all God is saying, He wants to use the weakest person, but He also wants to receive the glory. He is the one who did it. We didn't do it in our own strength. It was God that did it. So that's the end of our story. I hope you liked it. See you again next week.
Be strong.